Right, well, we just got out of Pacific Rim, the only film that will make you question if Godzilla shits in downtown Tokyo or New York, what were the ecological effects of it? That's my question. Kept bringing it up. Freaking wrong film. Well, to go over it as a brief overview, I really enjoyed it. There were some bits I didn't like as much. It avoided cliches, but it hit. There's some that they used where, the ones you'd actually expect. Actually, I don't know kaiju movies well enough to know the commanders. But I would recommend going to see it.
What could you want? Massive robots fighting massive
I want
monsters
more.
in cities.
I always want more robots fighting more monsters.
No, when the credits are I just sat there, just like, I want to watch it again.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
The robots have gone. I want to come back down.
We didn't see it in 3D. But if the 3D effects are anywhere near the just general effects of the film, it'll probably be quite impressive.
Yeah.
Make your own judgment on that. If you want to spend extra money to go see it, I don't know. I didn't want to. I'm not very good with it because of the glasses, same as fair few other people are.
Yeah. And we know what happens.
That's what we need. We need someone who doesn't wear glasses to go and watch the film and tell us.
Right, okay. We know what happens during the last 3D film we saw.
Okay, well,
The Hobbit, and I had to leave halfway through it because I ended up being sick and icky and dizzy. Yeah, no more.
But it's the film proper. The opening film is clever. It's a massive exposition dump, but it's expected. There is a lot of information they have to get through. There's a lot of stuff about where the kaiju come from, and the first thing they tell you is kaiju is the word for giant monster. It will be being used a lot during this film and during this review. And then the word Jaeger is hunter, which essentially really I would have liked a little bracket is giant badass robot. That's actually kind of what I wanted. When you see him, it is giant badass robot. But you get a lot of sort of when they appeared, it was an earth-changing event, and our normal forces were almost impossible to stop it. It took a week to take down the first one that appears. I think they say it's 6 days, like 14 hours. It takes to kill the first one. And so they say, we began our own project. The countries of the world banded together to create these giant robots to fight them. And it's like, yeah, that seems like the appropriate response really to me. Giant monsters, we create giant monsters of our own. We fight them with robots. And so that's where you come in, I think it's like year 6.
Oh, year 5 or year 6.
Yeah, it's late on, so this is war. And you get the person who'll be the main character and main character's brother. I actually did mean to look up his name because I think it was Riley, but
there's no Y on the end of it.
That doesn't really bother me.
I know it's
I know.
They pronounce it weird.
And it's just the problem that basically his name gets mentioned probably about 3 or 4 times in the film, and a lot of the time you're sort of distracted by the spectacle of it all. And
the main question is, what was his brother's name? I don't know.
Yeah, he was kind of, this character will, spoilers, this character will die in the opening 5 minutes and be part of these problems, psychological problems that affected the rest of the film.
Yeah.
He is sort of marked for death, like the cliched other countries' fighters later on who get no lines. They get no lines, they're just there to be killed.
The Russians say things, don't they?
But yeah, briefly. It's just like, shit, giant plasma weapons about to kill us. We might want to move. That's a grand moment.
Anyway.
But basically, after there's the opening fight happens, and the opening fight's really good. In just you get a sense of the scale. You get a sense of the scale of the robots and the monsters in comparison. I do wish they kept doing that. If you noticed, there was a lot of shots where it was very drawn back, and you could see the buildings, and you could see how tall the Jaegers were and how tall the monsters were. And
they had them like standing against massive tall skyscraper buildings.
Yeah,
they had them standing in the ocean.
Yeah, so you get and I can understand that idea. I get the thought of it.
Because they're that big, there's nowhere else.
Yeah, but there are a lot of shots where it's like giant robot. See how big it is. See how tall it is. Do you understand the size? I'm like, yes, we get it. We get the giant robots.
Are you complaining about giant robots?
I'm complaining about the cinematography of the film. That's what I'm complaining about. I'm not complaining about them being giant robots. No, that's perfectly fine. I complain about the fact that there's so many shots where they just do this thing of like, You must see how tall they are. Do you see how tall they are? We understand this fact.
No, but you should be able to still look at it. It's just how they filmed it.
Yeah. I actually really liked the opening.
If there wasn't enough shots of giant robots, you wouldn't have liked this film.
There's a difference. There's a difference. I actually liked the opening shot of the movie, because the opening shot of the movie is basically, he's talking about, we always wondered if there was other life out there, and you get this image, it looks very like it's space.
It is, it's just like, whenever I get kind of like bored or lonely, I look at the stars and like wonder what else is out there. Yeah. And then basically this big sort of, this bright light starts to shine, you realize, oh wait, shit, it's actually underneath the ocean. That's actually a really simple shot and a really clever one at the same time, and I liked that as just the opening shot. And of course, I then like the next scene where a giant robot was fighting a giant monster. But I'm a man of simple pleasures when it comes to those things. But yeah, so basically the opening fight doesn't go well. One of the two pilots is killed because you have to have two pilots to operate the robots, because if one person does, their brain essentially explodes. Kind of. It basically overloads, sort of crumbles, which is interesting. And then, so the pilot from it, Riley, basically then goes, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to disappear for about 6 months, I think. It's 6 months. It's like 5 years he leaves.
Yes, he leaves for about 5 years.
Well,
this is a bit of a time jump. Because
the way the robots are designed is that to make the people inside the robots be synced, your brains and memories have to be joined together.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's just like, not only has he witnessed his brother dying, but he actually experiences his brother dying.
He doesn't say experience the brother dying, he says he's experienced everything up to that point.
Yeah.
Because you only ever get the memories, you don't get the which is really
so
good.
You can kind of understand why he kind of packed it all in, because it's added.
It's a clever way to do it.
Yeah.
It's a clever way to do it because you get it gets all across, and I'm really glad there was a fair few moments in this where they didn't tell us things, they just showed it. Which is good, because that was a problem this film could have so easily had. So many things.
Exposition-y.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments where they could drop bits, but they don't. They let it run. Because basically the commander whose names a lot of names escape me.
There was a lot of people involved.
There were only two characters I'm really going to pay attention to, which is one was Maury, who's the co-pilot who appears later, and Riley, and they were the only two names I could really remember. But that's because they were the main characters. But I don't think you really need it too much in that way, because you don't need to keep sort of stating the names. You get them. They do have. They each have their own personality, and that's perfectly fine. Which is a problem that could easily come across. But basically, the commander goes to find Riley and brings him back, and because we find out that the Jaeger program is about to be disbanded because they think a giant wall is going to keep them out. This goes about as well as you might expect in a giant monster movie, in that basically they then go to Sydney showing a news report, and it's basically, oh look, this monster broke through this wall in about 6 hours.
As if it was nothing more than a cardboard box.
Yes. Why did they think a giant wall's going to stop them? They're not the Mongols. The Great Wall of China was a good idea, but they were people.
Yeah. You can't just build a giant wall and expect, an alien race of massive monsters. Not to be. I was questioning that. That's always been terrible. That was a terrible plan. Why? But that could be a trope to normal kaiju movies. I know they do have those sort of. Just like, imagine if that wall hadn't managed to keep them all out, and then the monsters kept appearing, and then you just have a massive kind of like no-go zone of monsters.
No. After a while, I imagine they would have been intelligent enough to just go, right, you guys stand at the bottom, and then we'll climb on top of you, and we'll climb on top of you, and we'll just slowly start climbing over this wall. They're pretty fucking intelligent.
Oh yeah, they were pretty intelligent.
After a while, they'd probably have just bred one. They'd have just bred one that was shaped like a ladder for them to, or just catapult them over. So, you ready to launch? No, go! That's what
Destroy Tokyo!
What they tried to do was destroy Sydney. So, Tokyo. We're never going to do well in this movie. It's a monster movie. Tokyo doesn't do well in monster movies. Tokyo gets killed. dope.
It was good though, like the cityscapes and stuff and all the
Yeah,
background
so
stuff.
a lot of sort of scenes.
And I like scenes that are, well, you know, very kind of detailed. I was gonna say pretty, but you know what I mean. I like scenes that, you know, detail and look realistic, and loads of kind of epic buildings get destroyed in the massive fights, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So once Riley's brought in, he meets Maury, and there's a thing between them. It never actually blossomed into a full blown romance, which I actually enjoy.
I know.
I really think they could so go for that, but it's like, no, they are friends, they are partners, they will work together. But I don't know if they made a second. Who knows? Maybe they do get together.
At the end, I'm jumping ahead, but at the end, I was so worried they were gonna kiss, and I was just like, oh no.
Oh well, yeah. When they were they're panning out, and they sort of lean forward. Yeah, I'm like, are you gonna kiss? You're gonna kiss. But given there was no close up shot, there was always gonna be a close shot. They were gonna kiss. There was never.
So I was kind of glad that there wasn't, you know, a full blown. Yeah. There was attraction between them.
Yeah, there's a respect. There's a respect, but it's never carried over to that area. Whereas all I can imagine is when they go into the boat for the first time, it's just that in his head he's just thinking, don't think about her being attractive. Don't think about her being attractive. Because he's got his thought. She ends up encountering her thoughts and memories. You tell me that never has that then gone across, and someone's gone, oh, I wish I hadn't seen it.
I think that's kind of more why they use brother and sister, and father and son, and brother.
Yeah,
because, I mean, the thing is, they tend to use people who are related to each other.
Yeah,
because their minds are more
the bond.
They bring that up. Compatible. So it was quite interesting to see how two people who had no connections or whatsoever were able to then
they went from.
So it made it different.
It's also fun to see an Asian female main character who isn't a damsel in distress, isn't Knives Chow from Scott Pilgrim.
It was kind of awesome because when they did, like, he had to basically trial different partners to see who he was compatible with, didn't he?
Yeah.
So because he needed to find him basically a new buddy to be with. And then he's just like, well, you know, why don't you come and fight me? Because they do his martial arts thing.
I love that taunt. This taunt, it's like, oh, what command is your best and your brightest not able to fight me? And it's just that, don't push, man. You don't want to fight this guy. He's gonna kick your ass.
But he did.
she did. They were
weaving a match. It was kind of nice to see, you know, a strong, confident woman, you know, standing up for women in that way.
Yeah,
it was really nice.
It's a Guillermo del Toro film.
You know,
he doesn't. He's not the person who would do that, because Liz Shonen in Hellboy is a really good sort of strong female character.
It was nice. Is enough of them, really? Well, in my opinion,
is Guillermo del Toro Pan's Labyrinth? Is Guillermo del Toro Pan's Labyrinth? I can't remember. I feel like he. Yeah, I think it is. It certainly
it must be, because if he do Hellboy,
yes,
but the fairies that appear in Hellboy appeared in Pan's Labyrinth.
Right.
Because I remember that connection.
Yeah, because it's a strong female character there as well.
It creeps me out. I get creeped out by that movie. But so it was nice to see, you know, really strong female characters.
Yeah, it's unfortunate there weren't more female characters. There's only two. Yeah. One of whom gets killed and has no lines. She is the only one.
Russian. No, she's the one in control of the thing, and she's the.
Yeah. She
only says like 2 lines.
Yeah, and it's never sort of lines to another character.
They're in Russian.
It's basically like, oh crap, we're about to die. Why didn't someone give us masks that cover our mouths? That's the stupidest thing. You were going to be fighting in large amounts of water. If water begins to seep in, wouldn't it be wise to have your mouth covered instead of just the eyes? Because that's what they had.
Yeah.
Which was the stupidest costume design. It's like, really? You need to be able to breathe? You were going to be fighting close to a large body of water? Someone fucked up there and didn't think about, hey, if water seeps in, we're going to drown. They could have kept fighting past that. The other guys were fine. They had the big they had the suits in G.I. Joe for some reason. They were the suits, Although I would question at the end how she was able to swim in that suit, because unless it was made of really lightweight material.
I would question that, but that's like
because it could just be it's made of lightweight material. Maybe that's why she does swim. But I did just question. I was like, shouldn't she sink like a swim?
But it doesn't, because it looks like kind of like full metal sort of armor.
It does look heavy, but they never discuss it enough to really. And they're walking around it pretty fine actually for most of the movie, so it must be relatively lightweight.
Maybe it's just all fake.
Question mark.
Sorry.
So yeah, so they basically once he's brought in, it's a large amount of tangenting to later in the film. Once he's brought in, they start talking about the robots, and there's a large amount of sort of it's just talking about it's the sort of science buzzwords that you get and the
describing sci-fi joke that goes over my head. Yeah, it makes me hate sci-fi words.
But that's the thing with it. You're not meant to understand it. It's meant to be for those people who have more of a knowledge of it, and it gives you it makes it seem like they know that they are more realistic because they have built them. Yeah. They understand how they're made. I don't quite understand why you have ones that are analog and ones that are digital, which comes up later in the movie. So
I always thought that the first lot of them.
Do you think the first ones were steam powered?
Yes, that would
have been fantastic. They show the first one being made and someone's in the boiler room shoveling
coal all the way, people.
That would have.
But I thought the idea was that behind as you didn't explain that the monster creatures they kind of evolve.
Yeah, they kept.
And basically to keep up with the evolution, they make the giant robots.
Yeah.
Better. And I think it's kind of over a period of time.
Which seems kind of ironic given the end of the movie.
Yeah, the technology improves. So I think maybe, they had to have.
Yeah, they were obviously trying to make it bigger. Yeah, sort of.
But it's one of those, plot devices that they bring in. It's just oh my god, everything's digitalized. We can't do this, we can't do that. And then it's well, hang on a minute. We have a first robot that's not actually digitalized.
We the main characters have a robot that isn't powered by electricity.
It's powered nuclear.
Yeah, but ironically, then that actually comes into even more into play. So actually, that whole idea.
So it does.
It's foreshadowed.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, think about it. That's actually foreshadowing. Because they say about it being a nuclear reactor.
Yes, they do.
And, but I didn't
so it makes more sense now.
This
is the thing, is you just haven't given yourself enough time to reflect.
Yeah, I didn't think about it at the time, actually.
It's
towards the
kind
end
of
of the movie.
to sort of really reflect on a movie when you've just come out of it sometimes.
Yeah.
Because your brain's still trying
fun. So there's the sort of antagonism as basically you at the beginning through other clips you see these two American pilots, the father and son team. And the
I thought they were Australian.
Are they Australian?
Yeah, they're Australian.
I didn't know if they were. I am no good with accents. If someone is not a stereotype, I don't know what nationality they are.
Yeah, one of the biggest clues to them being Australian was the fact that in that is with the boat when the monster even breaks a wall in Sydney. They're actually the ones who take it down, and they've apparently taken 7 of them down, and that's actually in Sydney, and they get out their robot and they say, "Yeah, we've defeated them."
I wasn't sure.
That was the biggest hint.
I'm not. If it's not a slightly offensive stereotype, I don't know.
No, it was
It's like the Chinese ones; they're playing basketball and doing kung fu. The Russian ones are looking very stoic and very sort of
looks
like one of them looks like a female version of Ivan Drago from Rocky. The other guy, I don't quite understand why he has this really sort of bleach blonde hair, but then a full brown beard. That's really weird. Yeah. It's so strange. So many strange choices, but it's just if they're not in a slightly offensive stereotype, I don't know what nationality they are.
The Russians were definitely a lot
because just think about it, when they bring in sort of Maury's character and she becomes more of a player, they don't bring up her nationality very much. It's there in the background.
Yeah.
And it's linked in obviously sort of referencing her backstories, then possibly almost linked to early kaiju movies.
It's just they revealed everything kind of slowly.
Which is
just,
good.
Sometimes at the start of a movie, they'll get all the plot and then you just have to deal with whatever the characters are doing. But in this,
it needs to be in the Transformers movies.
Oh, this movie's not like Transformers.
That's what
every time I hear about Transformers now, I just want to poke myself with a fork.
I will say if somebody ever says the Transformers is a fantastic, awesome movie, I will just go watch Pacific Rim. Then you tell me what's about a giant robot movie.
This is nothing like Transformers.
Because I really like sort of giant robot anime, and I am a fan of that sort of. I need to watch more, and I'm probably going to end up finding the old kaiju movies now because I really want to see. Yeah. I really want to watch those, then rewatch Pacific Rim and see where he was taking stuff from because there has to be so many references that I just wouldn't have gotten. Yeah. I did like the on two of the robots. They had. Did you notice they had the markers to show how many they'd killed? It's on the breastplate of one of them, and you can see it. It's like I think on the Australian ones there's 7. little marks, and they're on their armor as well. I thought, that's funny. It's a wonderful moment. It's a there's little details to make it.
I like how all the robots were different and all the
there was some major. Whoever did the special effects work on it has done really well in making those. Because that was one of the pros of Transformers as well. Actually, Transformers, all of the stuff looks the same after a while.
Oh yeah.
Because all of the sort of Decepticons are very sort of grey in palette, and there's a little bit of colour on the Autobots. It's never enough.
And all the Transformers are bright and change into cars.
And then you just got Megan Fox. I just wanted to be squished. Why is she playing April O'Neil in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie? Why?
So my childhood's going to be destroyed if I watch that movie.
It's a Michael Bay produced film, so yes.
Well, that's not good to see it.
No, I might anyway, because it's going to be a fun episode. But yeah, once they're brought in, he's introduced to all the other ones, and there's slight antagonism. There's the two other robots that are going to die later on in the film, and I won't care for them because that's the strange thing. I get that obviously he didn't have much time, but I always thought there would be a little bit of something with them. But the Chinese team never speaks, never really gets any time or dialogue, and the Russian team gets a little.
But that's
it's
mostly him and the Australian.
Yes, the Australians still
Australians really don't take both of them. I never. Well,
it's because the Australian son's really is a cocky dick. He is an asshole for being an asshole for the beginning of the thing. It is obviously given that he is one of the first people shown on screen. Yeah. It's the fame and the glory that's gone to him. Yeah. That's why. And so when he does have that redemptive moment later on, and then it's the massive redemptive moment at the end.
It's the relationship with his father as well. And one of those, some father relationships that's not gone.
Yeah, I did the thing. I heard you picked the day you came in. It's just like quite like, he had daddy issues, you can tell.
Ooh, one of the cutest characters in this movie had to be Frank, the British Bulldog. He was so cute.
The fact you knew what the dog's name is rather impressive. I never caught
it. It was like Frank or Frankie. It was definitely Frank or Frankie. And it's a British Bulldog.
It's barely a character. It's barely a character. There was no purpose really for them to have a dog wandering around.
That is true.
Questionable.
But still, a dog makes it home. They're living on this big, massive, what is it, a ship or
it just seems to be a base built to
a base thing in the Antarctic thing, is it? Oh wait, no, that's because they're in Hong Kong at this point.
It just seems to be built into the side of mountain range.
So they're living on this massive kind of army base thing. You need a dog to make something homely. It's cute. I want one.
So you have the pilot run of Maury and Riley, and as expected, it goes horribly wrong. And it's basically because when the minds meld, you have to sort of resist getting stuck in the memories, which, fully enough, makes me think of Eternal Sunshine, actually, with when he's but the almost opposite. That instead of trying to hold on to the memories, you have to try and leave them behind. And it's because of that things start to go wrong, and Maury almost blasts everyone with a plasma cannon. She basically is in the memory. She just raises her hand, and unfortunately, that happens to be the exact same way they activate the plasma cannons.
She's like in.
Someone didn't think about them this.
I don't know. She's like 8 or maybe just.
She's a very small child.
She's
at the time.
only like
She's running around.
Yeah.
How's she running around wherever she is on her own?
This is the thing.
They never explain that.
She's lost. Clearly, they knew that the monster was coming, and it was where was it, Tokyo? Hong Kong,
I actually don't know because they don't show. Given given it's the commander's character in the robot, I actually think she's American. That she's Asian American of some kind.
Oh right, okay.
Because
I must have that point.
Well, if you're saying and how it appears to be is that nationalities, given that he is American, the commander is American,
so maybe
that she was actually from.
Yeah, so it's a Chinese place in America somewhere.
It's possible. I don't know. That wasn't really gone into. I don't think you really needed to.
But
you just need to devastation.
She's just all alone, and everybody's gone, and the town is completely silent.
She's carrying her shoe.
Clearly, what's happened is she's lost her shoe, and because of the way the shoe is, you not notice it's a buckle shoe, so maybe she couldn't put it on.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was that little.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
Maybe, because the way the shoe was, because it was a buttle shoe, she couldn't quite put it on herself. So she's just wandering around carrying this little red shoe in this massive blue coat. Yeah, and the next minute there's this giant monster!
It actually, I couldn't tell, it kind of looked a little lobster-like because it seemed to have claws as it was like moving towards her.
All the monsters are unique though, and I like.
They are based on sort of natural.
Yeah, because they said there was a shark head one, wasn't there?
And
one that kind of looks like a lizard thing, and one that turns into like a pterodactyl.
Yeah, there's each one could easily be. Yeah. Oh, best reveal ever! Best reveal ever is in this film. Get ready? Dinosaurs came from another universe. Fuck it. Dinosaurs came from another universe. I as soon as they started, I'm like, okay, I can believe that. I can believe as much as you want to believe. It's just a fantastic thing. It's just like, oh yeah, they first tried to bring the dinosaurs in. Like, okay.
Yeah,
they screwed that up. We weren't even here.
The alien race first tried to take over our planet with dinosaurs.
Or to other beliefs, we were here at the exact same time as the dinosaurs and peace with them.
Oh.
If you never heard that thought.
Yeah.
The Earth's only like 6,000 years old.
Like
no. Dinosaurs were millions of years ago. I'll give those interdimensional beings a bit of credit. They have a massive amount of patience to wait for 5 billion years, several millions of years.
We're on a different time zone to
it could be, but it's just like what do we do for a couple of 100 million years while the world changes? I don't know, canasta? Bingo? Maybe. We've got this giant load of monsters we could breed. Why don't we do that? And so once things start to go bad, and introduce these two scientists one is
very British.
One is Owen from Torchwood. I actually thought he was going to have a horrible death like in Torchwood, where he had to get destroyed in a nuclear blast, considering the thing. And then the other one I sort of half recognise. To me, he looked like Jeff Goldblum. There was a shot where he looked like Jeff Goldblum, and it was just like, it's Jurassic Park over here. I don't mind Jeff Goldblum in this film. At least no Matthew Broderick. It's Godzilla. There's no, that's a lot of fish. But they get introduced, and there's these two sort of competing theories where basically, the monsters will come through at such a time, and they'll come through in more and more waves, and then basically the other scientist says that if we merge with their brains, we'll be able to find out more about them and learn about the other side of it. I actually wonder why in 7 years no one has thought to do this. Well, no, it's just like they proved that
because they've not got the money or resources.
Whatever this thing, they have for years. They must have the resources because he says he's got the. Later on, he sends one of the two scientists to go find this black market dealer, and it's revealed to be Ron Perlman, who's fantastic. In the most, he is so stupidly dressed; it's wonderful. He's got his sort of like metal plating on the fronts of his shoes, so when he walks, there's like a sort of
gold plating.
Yeah, there's this sort of sound as if he had like spurs on, like a western.
Yeah.
Which Ron Perlman, he's so wonderful, but that actually really bugged me. So when I was thinking about it now, they obviously had the ability to get to the brain. I know they didn't in the same way as they do towards the end of the film.
Yeah.
Because that's a really
big
moment.
They needed a whole brain basically to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah. But it seems like that if this guy's had this theory for a while, he's never done it before, and that sort of way, I was like, well, surely you could have done it then. Surely you could have done it before. You've had this idea, unless of course you only worked it out at the time. But I don't know.
One of those many things you'll probably never know.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't know, but I don't know. This is a director's commentary. I think I'll be watching definitely. When the DVD comes out. So you have that, and obviously, as you will do, you have that moment where Owen from Torchwood, because they're brothers, the two scientists, basically says, "It's like, oh, it'll never work." Blah 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 blah. And he walks off, and so basically we go, "Oh yeah, let's tamper with things we don't know." standard monster movie actually fair, really, there when it comes to it.
It's always fun when
It's,
there's
yeah, always,
involved.
oh, yeah. Anything about science? Just to steal a joke from Cara. So he sort of merges with the brain and gets a bit of information, and you learn that basically they're not coming through and just acting like animals, like wild animals. They're actually being sent through on purpose to essentially obliterate the planet and to then help this other interdimensional race conquer it. Essentially, you've got the plot of Avengers. Actually, when it comes down to it, just more awesome. I actually would say in some of the scenes.
But it's because how they're really, because at first you just think, oh, these are mindless monsters who
are
just
it's
and then it turns out that actually these monsters are actually intelligent.
And now that is a trope of monster movies. That is a proper one because I can think of it for some of them.
It's all coming back to
because there have been a fair few of that that's come into play.
That was kind of cool.
And it is a really good reveal. It is when he just says it though, he just goes like they first tried with the dinosaurs, but the atmosphere wasn't right for them, so they died out. And it's like, well, suddenly everything makes a lot more sense. They've actually linked in why they look like dinosaurs several times. they look like dinosaurs.
And the other thing is like how they said, well, actually, it's all our fault because they said
because
we polluted the earth.
And they could have really pushed that. They could have really pushed that sort of environmental message, and they don't.
They did.
Which is
they just
good.
mentioned it once, but they said because we've changed the environment and polluted it, we've made the conditions right for them to appear.
Yeah, which makes
sense.
It makes sense. But I'm glad that he's not going to push. He didn't push it. It's there, and if it works perfectly fine. But if it could have been pushed in another film with a less, I think, with a less confident sort of writer and director.
Everyone the planet, save the ozone layer, otherwise aliens and giant monsters are gonna take over.
But then we build giant robots, so then everything is awesome. So pollute more people.
Oh
no! Don't pollute. Recycle.
Recycling is good.
But so you learn that they have this plan where they're going to drop a nuke into the rift. Walkway that will basically shatter it, and it's
the monsters coming through.
It seems like a good idea, and then you have later on you learn, oh no, it's actually a terrible idea because if we don't have this, we won't be able to do it.
Basically, they find out that the monsters have like a barcode.
They would describe it as a barcode thing. It's actually a biometric sort of pass.
Portal to another,
pick it up.
And basically, without this code thing, the bomb that they want to put inside to blow it up
would just get stopped, which is
bounce back and probably destroy us. So it's kind of
no, because we saw what happened when the actual bomb went off because they used it to kill those first two, and all they did was just push all the water back for a minute, and the guy was looking around like, "Where's the water? Oh shit, there!" So there's a lot of oh shit moments in this. So many.
It's good though.
It's all wonderful. Oh shit moments.
Yeah. So.
I was trying to think. Yeah.
So. It's the end of the movie.
So. Well, no, sorry. I'm just keep going. So basically, once they learn of where the monsters actually have come from, the commander of the Jaeger unit basically said, "All right, I'm going to send you to Ron Perlman, and you. I want you to see if he's got a brain, an intact kaiju brain." And earlier on in the movie, it's a statement about how big they became in sort of media. Like there were kid shows and there's toys. I imagine there's cartoons. Kind of want to see a cartoon like that. That would be awesome. And there's it's basically become such a media thing, which is indicative of the world.
Like
if something like that happened, you would, and you get religions who think that the kaiju come because it's punishment from God, and you get all these things. It's realistic. It's as realistic as you're going to get in a monster movie. And that's as good as I can credit Guillermo del Toro what he's made. And so you have this sort of thing that when Ron Perlman realizes what the scientist did and that he's melted his mind, he basically says, you don't know what you've messed with. They now, like you said, they have a hive mind. They are able to, and the rift's doorway is twofold. You could see into them, but they could see into you. So they essentially send two monsters after this one scientist. Slightly overkill, maybe. he's a weak. He could be killed at any point. And basically, like, when he's like, "Oh, well, how do you know this?" He's been wearing Ron Perlman's character's been wearing his glasses the entire time. He sort of lifts them up. I'm annoyed because you couldn't really see his eye that well, but because he does, it's on like the left hand side, but the camera's it's on his left, but the camera's on his right, so you can only just sort of see it. I would have liked to sort of close up for a minute, just for a few seconds, just to see it, and then to cut away, and that would have been fine by me. And that's the sort of thing. And so you have this moment where the scientist guy gets kicked out of Ron Perlman's place, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to go hide in my bunker. You're fucked." It's just it's Ron Perlman playing Ron Perlman. You know, it's wonderful. And so as that happens, he basically runs to this shelter, and he realizes that they know where he is, and it's closing in, and he basically he does the stupidest thing he could possibly do. He then tells other people. He tells everyone in the place.
I'm not sure about this, because like when he first used the brain, he makes a connection with the other live monsters, and then they come and get him, don't they?
Yeah,
that's what happens. Yeah. But I wanted to know how the monsters knew he connected with the brain.
Because, as Ron Perlman said, it's a doorway. It can go through, but it can go.
See, I didn't know that.
Because you know that, because you didn't go out until.
Basically, you missed the point. Is that we had a sound issue with this movie.
Oh no! Well, no, I caught that. I caught everything. It wasn't. That was actually past the sound issue.
And I left slightly.
Yeah, but you left when the monster was trying to chow down.
Yeah, I left to go until the sound had gone off again, and I wasn't very happy.
I didn't mind it.
No,
I
think at that point, like they came in at the beginning, and somebody else complained at the beginning, and they fixed it.
Yeah, because the audio for the adverts is wrong, and you know it's wrong. Yeah, you want to catch that early on. So annoyingly, we didn't get to see most of the one of the trailers that I really want to see, which I would probably look up online actually later and enjoy it instead.
But they had to fix the sound, and then they went up again. And then basically, because it was like the last half an hour of the movie, they didn't want to switch the sound up and fix it when people were trying.
But it seemed to fix itself because it seemed to go back again.
Yeah, I know.
But no, but he says it to the scientist. He says it at one point. He says, "Oh, don't you realise it's a door?" And obviously you meant to get that idea earlier on as well. So that's how they know. They basically knew they'd been detected, so they were coming to find him. And there is this ridiculous one where he's in an underground shelter, and he's sort of like, "Oh no, it's coming for me! It's coming for me!" And while he might have thought he was safe being in Tokyo, speaking in perfect English, it just happened to be there was a person who spoke English. So basically, suddenly this woman goes, "They're after him!"
But she says it in Japanese.
Yeah, she starts.
Know.
Yeah, you just hear him go. "What did she just say? What did she just say?" And you basically see this crowd just departing around him. And it's a good thing they departed around him, because the monster just perfectly makes a hole. But there's a tad bit of convenience maybe in the film occasionally. And so you have that where he almost gets attacked, but while this has been going on, the 4 Jaegers have been trying to fight one of the monsters, one of which had an EMP, which really, that's pretty much what I'd expect after a while from intelligent species, to arm the monsters with something that can take down theirs. And given that those ones are all the most recent models, that even makes even more sense. Yeah. But it is just a wonderful moment where it's just like, "Oh no, what's just happened?" It's like, "Yeah, I had an EMP, dude. How do you not know this? I didn't understand."
It's like everything's gone. There's no
everything terrible has just happened. And so you have those moments where it is quite awesome, because you have them when you've got 3 giant robots fighting 2 monsters. It is quite an awesome thing. And then basically when the EMP goes off, it takes out 2 of the robots, and one's already been downed already. And you get one of the best shots in the movie where you get 2 Australian pilots standing on the shoulder, because that's where they sort of can come out from, flare guns in hand, and shoot one of the monsters in the eyes, which is fantastic. Which is just like, that's truly just a middle finger, and it's just like, and for a second you want to be like, "Oh god, we may have just made a terrible mistake."
Yes, they did, because then the monster crushed them.
No, it didn't. That's the thing, because the Gypsy Danger appeared.
That's an awesome name for a giant killer robot.
It was Red Typhoon as well. I don't know what the other. I can't remember the other one.
No, because I think they were in. I don't know what the Australian one was called. I think the Russian one was in Russian.
I don't know.
I don't know. I can't remember.
So you have.
It's not a thing that I paid attention to.
It's difficult. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of fun stuff. So you have those two monsters being killed. There's very very awesome fight scenes. A lot of fight scenes that so not pad out the movie because they do make it interesting. They have the fight scenes. They have other stuff going on at the same time, and it adds to development, and it's very wonderful. So once they kill those two, Ron Perlman's got his sort of group together, and he's beginning to try to strip down one of these creatures, and they learn that it's pregnant. Which I'll give you the credit. Yeah, you missed this entire sequence, which is unfortunate because it is kind of a fun sequence. And basically, you basically see these like three guys who've got inside one of the dead ones, screaming as this thing gets sort of born and comes out, and it makes a beeline for the scientist who licked brains earlier. And I actually thought it was going to end up killing itself because you can see the umbilical cord of the creature is wrapped around its neck. And I thought what was going to happen was it would lurch forward and there would just be a snap and it would drop. But what actually happens is it just dies due to the atmosphere. At least Ron Perlman thinks it dies due to the atmosphere because he then basically takes the sort of butterfly knife he was threatening the guy with earlier, stabs it into the front of the monster, the baby monster, turns around, sort of says a line, goes to get the knife back, and as it does, the monster just rears up and eats him. Yeah, it wasn't a good. That was a stupid thing for you to do, Ron Perlman. Stupid thing for you to do. I just remembered Ron Perlman's character's name is Hannibal Chow. Remember that for the line. He says his first favorite general and his second favorite Chinese in New York.
His fictional character Hannibal Lecter.
No, you mean like Hannibal Crossing the Alps.
Oh.
Does he even say general? Does he say general? Does he not say general?
I don't know.
I don't think he said fiction. I thought he was talking. I
thought
it was Hannibal as in reference.
I thought he said fiction.
To Hannibal Crossing the Alps and the
know.
elephants. It's one or the other. He doesn't eat anyone though, so
No, he just gets eaten himself.
Unfortunately, which is kind of hilarious. It's terrible way for Rob to go. But so basically, they because they're going to have this baby specimen, they now have a fully functioning brain, which is what they wanted. So it allows the two scientist brothers to basically to jump back into the sort of the drift, as they call it, and learn more about what's actually going on. And they learn as the mission is about to start to drop the bomb that they can't do it because they need to have this sort of biocode that all the creatures have, which basically means that they have to trick it into opening. So you have another sort of fight scene, and you have one of the two robots sacrificing itself, mainly because one of the characters is about to die due to radiation from the early one. Shows how quick they put together, because they put it together in 16 months, I think. It's like 16 months, but they weren't thinking about shielding from radiation, so he's obviously slowly got some sort of cancer. Or they don't say in the movie; they just state that. And so you have that sacrifice being made, and you have this last sort of moment where Riley and Maury in the Jaeger jump in, fall. He manages to get Maury to release herself. She jumps out of his pod. But then you've got Riley on his own in the sort of alien universe briefly, and then because of that, it basically means that he then has to do the sort of heroic sacrifice. It would seem like, because he has to activate the nuclear armaments inside.
We're about to get interrupted.
Yeah, perfect. We're about to get interrupted. So I'll just pause it. They're inside.
The phone ringing last time.
Yeah. But basically, he has to activate the sort of nuclear arms, and that will explode and it will close the gate. And as he does, he sort of manages to jettison. And I really thought at the end of the movie they were going to have him die. I kind of thought they would do that, but
like a proper hero self.
Yeah, but you stay this way in the cinema. They had done that a lot already in the film.
A lot of people seem to die, and there seems to be a lot of hero.
There were a lot of hero moments. Yeah, a lot of
stuff like that. And I think if it had one, if it had Riley die, then that's fine. You accept that because that's what the showbiz is supposed to happen. But
okay, sorry. Just the problem is you're living in your parents' house.
It happens. Yeah. But even if you end up having a flat, you'll probably still get interrupted by something.
Probably.
It's live.
So you basically have these moments where you have that moment where it seems like he's dead, and sort of Maury's hugging him, and he's like, "Oh, you're squeezing me too hard." It's fine. I mean, I could have gone either way. If he lives, it doesn't ruin the movie. If he dies, it doesn't ruin the movie. It works, and you've already had those heroic sacrifice moments. You don't. It's not like I wanted to see him die. It's not one of those moments where it's like, oh, I want to see that sacrifice made. Going back to the Avengers again, I saw people complain that at the end of the Avengers, Tony didn't die, that Iron Man doesn't die. Because so people complained about that. I was like, well, they wouldn't have done that. They were never going to do that because you wouldn't kill off such a character. And
yeah, you wouldn't.
That is the point here. That you wouldn't kill off his character. There's no point. It doesn't link into his story actually at all. So
no, I mean his brother's already died, and his brother's already technically done the self-sacrifice thing anyway. In a way,
a lot of.
So
he got ripped out of his machine by the creature. That wasn't self-sacrifice. He got eaten.
But you know what I mean? They were there in the front of battle anyway, and it's kind of good that he, survives at the end.
Yeah, I would say something like there's ever going to be a sequel, because
how would you sequel that? Monsters Return.
You wouldn't? I don't know if you saw Cabin in the Woods, but did you ever hear what the director said when someone asked him about if there was going to be a sequel to Cabin in the Woods?
No.
He basically said, "Did you see my movie?" That was basically that was literally what the director said, and that's what I'm sure Guillermo del Toro will say.
This movie is so epic in itself; it doesn't need anything.
Yeah,
else.
a sequel would kind of ruin it. It really would when I think about it.
Because of the way the plot gets revealed as well, there's nothing really more they could do with that plot in a way. They'd have to bring in a whole.
I don't know. You could go back and you could explore the Commander and Maury's sort of relationship when they were young, from when he was younger and she's a child.
Yeah.
But there's not enough there maybe to fledge out a full, not easily fledge out a sort of secondary movie. Not in my head is an easy way to do it. It could be done. I doubt he'll do it because it's not something that needs to be continued, and it would ruin. It would possibly ruin it as a franchise because sequels can occasionally ruin franchises.
I mean, the plot structure works really well throughout, and the ending's quite good. And
it never was rushed. One thing I liked and didn't like at the same time is some of the editing, which is as I was saying about before. There's a lot of sort of wide shots with showing the scale, and that's great for the fight scenes. But sometimes when they got in too close, I actually had trouble telling what was what.
I wouldn't know about this because
it was like whenever they were sort of like very tight in, it became a little difficult occasionally because they both some of the time had the same color palette, which causes the issue because they were monsters are grey, the giant robots a bit grey, and so it causes the problems.
You also noticed how it seemed to be raining all the time.
There were a lot of them.
What was with that? Just like
I
the
I would question if there's not a large sort of theme of water.
That the robots look better in the rain. I hope to God
somewhere that's a song that needs to be made. Robots look better in the rain. That's a steampunk Frank Sinatra. That Frank Sinatra steampunk. Someone make that. That would be fantastic.
But no, I mean water generally is a symbol of life.
True, so it could be a reference to that as well.
It could be, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I hope to God that those robots, were rust-proof and salt-proof because they're in the ocean like all the time.
I imagine they will have been. They were at the bottom of the ocean. I think that would be a mistake. That would be a tragic mistake. That would be a terrible mistake. Oh, we dropped these 2 robots in the bottom of the water and now we can't use them anymore because they've rusted. Well, that's a good $6 billion.
We forgot to make sure that they were ocean salt-proof.
It's like, oh yeah, people need to breathe, don't they? Crap, that's terrible. So many things probably went wrong with. Actually, that would be an interesting thing to see how those prototypes went. I want to know what the opening was because they show sort of the prototypes of how the drift works, but they don't show much of the robots.
The Russians robot didn't that remind you of the Big Daddy Rosie from BioShock? As it did me because it had a diving shaped weird flat helmet.
It being a diving suit doesn't surprise me as much.
Mind you, everything in my world is now related to BioShock. Everything has.
When I think about its design, it comes across as very sort of diving suit in the light, which is kind of cool. And once again, like the uniqueness of the robots, they are very sort of unique. You could easily look at them and pick them out each one.
They seem to
because the Chinese one has because the Chinese one has triplet pilots and has a third arm, which shows that I want to know how that works. Exactly. What load of the neurons is he taking there? Because they say that about it. One side is taking the left, the other's taking the right. So what's a third one doing? What's he meant to be doing?
Middle.
Well,
I don't know. It's probably just how they design the robot.
He's the worst part. He's the stem. He's the brains thing. The medulla oblongata, and no one cares. That's it. Like, damn it. You guys get the left side and the right side. What do I get? I get the ass. So it might as well be. Poor Chinese guys don't get any dialogue. I feel sorry for the guy who doesn't, and they just get killed. They're there to die.
Sometimes you have characters that are there to die, though.
Says every slasher horror movie ever.
One more thing about this movie is that despite it being a sci-fi, and it being quite an embedded sci-fi, I actually really liked it.
Yeah, but you
that's not
Looper as well.
Looper's liking something that's a sci-fi involving monsters and giant robots, but there's just something so epic about it.
It's the scale. Yeah, as much as I sort of rag on the editing for the constantly showing like the scale of it, it is the scale that makes it very impressive.
Let it go.
Cool. No.
But no, that's the thing.
But that's good at the bad same time. It's the scale of it. You realise how big these things are. There's a great scene where the Gypsy Danger, the main robot, is being dropped based from quite a long way up because one of the monsters basically picks it up, tries to drop it. It gets chopped in half for the trouble, which is hilarious. But as it dropped, they had to sort of right themselves. When it lands, it doesn't land in like Power Rangers where it's very soft. It lands and there's just this trail of destruction going out for some way because of how heavy these robots are. Yeah. And that's good because if they'd done it sort of the Power Ranger style, I still would have loved it because it's still Power Rangers. But it would have been. They made
it like very realistic.
Yeah, there was a solid amount of realism. I love the fact that the Gypsy Danger's robot head was a screw top. It gets put in round. Okay. Yeah. I would kind of love to see I'm amazed no one has made a game. No one has made a fighting game. I know there was Destroy All Monsters that came on the PS2 and that was years ago. So I remember playing it, but no, I would love a game of this because it would just be just give me robots fighting monsters. I'll be happy.
So our recommendation is somebody make a game and somebody write a song.
Yes, we have any recommendations. I would
best recommendation of all is just go
see the movie.
Even if you hate sci-fis like me, it's still worth going to see because I sat through it and I really enjoyed it.
Because
only one point I thought I was going to fall asleep, but that's because I got really comfy. But then it woke up, so it was okay.
I was trying to keep you from falling asleep. It's my mission in life.
It's like I was up early.
Right. Well, you've heard our recommendations. Go see the movie. I'm hoping I will probably pay attention to the box office statistics for this opening weekend because I really want this film to do well. I always want Guillermo del Toro to do well.
It feels like it's going to do well.
Yeah. But we'll wrap up here. There'll be a break as normal, and we'll talk about the trailers because we had some new ones, some old ones, and that will be it for the moment. So, see you soon. Okay, so trailers. We'll start with ones we've seen before. So, Lone Ranger and the Wolverine. Given how bad the Lone Ranger has been reviewed recently, I don't think I'm going to go see it.
It's a bit like Captain Jack Sparrow, only instead of being on the ocean in a boat, he's in the desert on a horse.
That's what people thought. Unfortunately, it's really painful and boring. Apparently, he doesn't even really become the Lone Ranger until late on in the movie, and there's just he doesn't fire a gun until late on in the movie, and that's just so they can keep it going.
So I'll probably go and see it or get it on DVD.
Well, you can go watch that yourself. It's 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. And the last film I watched with Johnny Depp in it was painful enough. That was Dark Shadows.
And then I made you watch it again.
I hate that movie. And the Wolverine, I might go and watch it, but I don't know.
It looked okay to me.
Well, they couldn't make it any worse than Origins. Wolverine Origins is a bad movie. It's been stayed as a bad movie. And so, I don't know. It looks good. It looks interesting. They take his healing factor away, which makes it more interesting because it means he could actually be killed. He won't be killed, obviously, because he's already signed on to do Days of Future Past, so that's kind of an annoyance. But
basically, moving
World's End, which the new Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, like a writer's director, will probably be fantastic. We'll be seeing it. We'll be seeing it as soon as we can. It's likely that a review won't be up till next Monday.
It's not my fault. We're on a barge.
It's
Birmingham when it comes out.
It's unfortunate we're on holiday at the time it comes out.
And there'll be no.
We will be away and unable to.
There'll be actually no cinemas where we'll be anyway.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but we'll get to it. There'll be a video up for anyone who actually watches to this point. There's some of you out there, I'm sure.
I hope there's some of you out there.
Those fans who do. Hello, how are you? I'm very happy you watched this far. Thank you. I really am. There's Gravity, which was Mel Gibson.
Sci-fi for me.
See, now this is the weird thing. You say science fiction. Didn't seem to be fiction. It seems to just be very science because it was modern day space. It was two people ended up getting separated from the space shuttle as they're trying to work on something.
I'm not a fan of things that are set in space.
Things set in space are awesome.
I just don't know. It just didn't look like my type of movie.
It looked more drama than science fiction, but I really don't care enough to actually probably. I might go and see it. It looks good and it might be worth a watch. I could always go see it myself if I want to.
Yes, I don't think I could sit through that.
There's Two Guns, which is Mark Wahlberg and Denzel Washington, which I had to write down because if I hadn't written down who the two actors were, I'd have said that one of them was Jason Bateman because I get Jason Bateman and Mark Wahlberg mixed up like I do Tom Hanks and Mel Gibson.
How do you get Tom Hanks?
They both have square heads and sort of flat cut hairstyles. I can't help it.
Okay.
I am terrible at this for the time.
That one looked okay, but it looked like
that one looked pretty fun.
Action shootout.
I don't know because it looks. I don't know. Given the trailer, it looked like a buddy cop movie, but it's not the buddy cop of two departments working together. It was I think it was one was FBI, the other sort of special forces, and then they find out they've ripped off the CIA, so there's a lot of sort of departments fighting against them, which seemed interesting. It's Mark Wahlberg and Denzel Washington, so it should hopefully be a good film because both of those are really good. Yeah. They're both really quite good actors. And the final one was the one where we had the sound go out, so I'm a little annoyed. So I'll have to watch this trailer another time, which was one for Red 2. And I really liked the first one.
I haven't seen it, but I really liked the trailer, and I was sat there thinking,
I'll have to.
When you told me, you were just like, oh, right,
the first one's wonderful for so many things. One, because I love Bruce Willis, and he's in it, and then you've got John Malkovich playing a crazy guy. You've got Helen Mirren in there. You've got Morgan Freeman.
I saw loads of people in the trailer.
Yeah, annoying. I'm annoyed though. There was no Carl Urban. Bring him back. I want Carl Urban in my movies. I fucking love Carl Urban. I want him in my movies. He was so ineffectual in the last film. And I want to see him again, just being continuously ineffectual, just getting tricked by him.
So I definitely will need to see that Red then.
Yeah, I will. I'm probably going to get it on DVD. I'll get it on DVD and come watch it. I'll see if I can find it on Sky again.
It looked good.
It was good. It's not like a fantastic movie. But it's good. It's enjoyable. Yeah, it's one of the more enjoyable sort of comic book movies because it's based on a comic that I've seen. I enjoyed it just for the spectacle and ridiculousness of it all. Which is unfortunately my catchphrase at the moment, is enjoying things with the spectacle of it.
I want to see when it came out. To see if there was a reason. I figured out the reason why I've not heard of it. So I wanted to know.
I just missed it when it originally came out. It came out.
The thing is, if it came out like in the last 4 or 5 years I was at university, so that would make sense why I missed it, because I missed so much at university.
I feel like it was 2010, but I don't know. Someone probably correct me on that. I could look at.
Because if it did come out in the last 4 years, that would make sense why I missed it.
I feel like it's 2010 because I hadn't heard of Carl Urban up to that point, and then Doom was. I am just currently trying to look it up to actually find this out.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's fine.
Curious to figure out why I'd missed it when it seemed really.
Right. Well, while I'm looking it up, we will be going to see another movie possibly later today, so there might be a secondary video up alongside this one, or we'll be going to see it tomorrow, which will be Monsters University, and I haven't really heard much about it. I've purposely tried to avoid seeing anything about it which is why I'm quite glad that World's End is coming out here before it is America, so it means it's very unlikely I will actually hear anything.
It's only fair that, World's End should come out here first, 'cause it's a British movie.
Yes, it's British director,
So it's only
and it was
fair
20,
that
and
it
Red
should-
was 2010. Red was 2010.
Right, yeah, that's why I missed it, because I was in first year of university and I was,
So we'll be going to see that, and then the next one of these videos that will go up will likely be World's End, unless there's something that happens in between then and there.
How? Probably not.
There's a week. I don't know. I think it's going to happen a week. And so that will be it. That's it for the most part. I know I didn't release a normal end of the season review this week, but that's because basically I was going to do it separated out into first and end like I normally would, but instead in not next week, the week after, when it would have been the end of the season, I'm doing a big thing of just talking about the whole of the series in general, and so hopefully that'll go well.
There is a reason why you're doing that.
There is a reason, because there was nothing to make fun of. There was nothing really to mock, because it would have just been mean. It would have been.
It's the first year of your show?
It's the first year of my show, and it should be doing it that way anyway. But basically, there was nothing I could have mocked. It would have been. This is the same problem I've had when I've watched Daria. There aren't jokes you can make about it, because the characters who are stupid on purpose, and the main character is the sensible one, if occasionally a little silly with what she does. And it's not Daria that I'm reviewing, it's something else, which I'm not going to tell you because I want to keep it under wraps. I'm very happy I've kept it under wraps.
I already guessed it.
Yeah. So people are about to guess. It's not that difficult to work out with what I've said. But that's the point of it. So we will see you again for another one of these videos from Pro Review Monsters University.
Later on today, or
tomorrow,
and then we'll see you again next week when we
we'll
review another movie.
We'll go see more things. But until then, thanks for watching.